Good morning, VC. This is Glen Kellaway, your low-end music freak. This is part 7 in my series, The Greatest 100 Albums of All Time. Made a quick change in my plans. Up until now, I've been doing 10 videos per episode. For the next 2, I'm going to do 15. So parts 7 and part 8 are going to be 15 CDs or albums, and then the next part after that, part 9, will be the final 10. So let's just get started. I'm going to be starting with number 40. Uh-oh, I don't have any of this organized. So let's go. Number 40, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. This album could easily be top 10 in anybody's collection. Brilliant album, released in 1976. Won Record of the Year at the Grammys. Stevie's masterpiece. 3 hit records off of this. I Wish, Sir Duke, and Isn't She Lovely? Fantastic, fantastic album from start to finish. Like I said, this is a genius album from Stevie Wonder. Number 40, Songs in the Key of Life. Number 39 would be, oh, it'd be nice to get yourself organized in the morning. Bear with me, it's a record. That's why I can't find it. Okay, let's put the records over here. Okay, here we go. Metal, Pink Floyd. My favorite Pink Floyd album. I love Floyd the best from Metal back to Piper, not Dark Side up to The Wall or The Final Cut or whatever you want to say. I think Metal's a great album. Echoes is on this album, One of These Days. This is kind of the bridge between early Floyd's more psychedelic type stuff and what they were doing from Dark Side forward. So it's kind of a bridge between the two Floyds, I think. But brilliant, brilliant album. Metal. Pink Floyd, number 39. Number 38. Yes, the Yes album. This is Yes's 3rd album. Came out in 1971. My second favorite Yes album. Close to the Edge is my favorite. This is the first Yes album with Steve Howe in the band. So that's brilliant. I saw Yes like about 5-6 years ago in Oshawa, Ontario. A small hockey rink, like about 5,000 people. They didn't have John Anderson with them. It was that the phony John Anderson, John somebody or other. He actually sings okay. He did a good job. They did 2 albums in their entirety. They did Fragile and Close to the Edge, I think. Or maybe the Yes album. Anyway, it was a great show. Regardless, I got to see Chris Squire, because I'd never seen Yes before. I got to see Chris Squire before his sad passing. And Steve Howe blew me away live, is playing live. He's incredible. I know he's a great guitar player, but had no idea how good until I watched him play. He's amazing. Anyway, the Yes album. Next, the Rolling Stones, Beggar's Banquet. One of my favorite Stones albums. This came out in 1968, Sympathy for the Devil. A lot of rootsy acoustic stuff on this and some blues. Street Fighting Man's on here. But songs like No Expectations and Salt of the Earth. Great, great album. Brian Jones was still in the band here, but he was pretty much out of it and couldn't play any instruments. So Keith Richards played all the guitar parts on this album. Leads and rhythms. Did a phenomenal job because it's just a great, great album. Beggar's Banquet. Okay, coming in next on the list, wonderful album, number 36. Cat Stevens, Tea for the Tiller Man. This is just a beautiful album from start to finish. Cat Stevens' best album as far as I'm concerned. Where Do the Children Play, Hard-Headed Woman, Wild World, Sad Lisa. Oh my God, what other songs are on this? It's just Father and Son. I mean, Father and Son is just one of the greatest songs ever. Great, great album from Cat Stevens. T for the Tillerman. Great sounding record too. Okay. Now when this next album came out, I was blown away, as were most people. From the first guitar riff of Good Times, Bad Times, Led Zeppelin, 1969, their first album. This was so different from anything we were used to hearing at the time. Just the heaviness of it and the heavy blues, it was just a step in a different direction than what we got from the other heavy blues rock bands. Really eye-opening, great first album. I know there's a lot of covers on here, or songs that they kind of made their own. You Shook Me and that kind of thing, but Can't Quit You Babe. Great, great album. My favorite Led Zeppelin song, How Many More Times, is on this album. My vivid memory of this album is being one of the first people around my neighborhood who had it, and I guess, you know, none of us had a lot of money to spend on records. There was this guy in my class at high school. He asked to borrow it for the night, and I lent it to him. Then he avoided me for like a week. I couldn't get the album back. He knew he had it, and I bugged him like crazy. It was like he stole my right arm. And then one day I just went, hell with this. I went and knocked on his door, and I could hear the album playing inside the house. And his sister answers the door. He wasn't home, and she says yes. And I said, "That's my record. I came to get it back." And she had to take it off the turntable and give it back to me. So, and I think the next day at school, he's going, "Oh, you got your record back?" Yeah, I got my record back. Thanks, buddy. So maybe that scarred me for life. I don't like lending records. Anyway, Led Zeppelin. That was number 35. Number 34, the Beatles make their appearance once again. Hard Day's Night. I guess the Beatles didn't release soundtrack albums in UK, so it was just an album, Hard Day's Night, and the songs from the movie are on it, and plus a bunch of other stuff. In the U.S., we got the Hard Day's Night on United Artists with you know, the half a dozen songs from the movie and a bunch of soundtrack stuff from George Martin. So this is the album that you need to have if you're looking for a Hard Day's Night, not the North American release, unless you're a completist. Great album. One of my favorite, I don't know why this song is always one of my favorite Beatles songs. It was in my top 10 video of Beatles songs, is You Can't Do That. I just love that song. But anyway, what a great album. I Should Have Known Better, Hard Day's Night, If I Fell, And I Love Her, Can't Buy Me Love. Just a great, great album. Okay, coming in at number 33. I hate this cover. Blind Faith. Released in 1969. Supergroup. Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Rick Gretsch, and Stevie Winwood. I was fortunate enough to see Blind Faith on their only tour, Varsity Stadium in Toronto, July 1969. Blind Faith were the headliners. Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, who were the first time I'd ever seen them or heard of them, they were on the show. And Rory Gallagher and Taste were on the show. Great triple bill. My vivid memory is Delaney and Bonnie and Friends blew everyone away. They were the best act of the night. Incredible. They were just so good. They just got everybody pumped. But you can't deny how great this album is. Blind Faith, one and only album they ever put out, and it's a classic. Okay, now we're going with Mr. Dylan. John Wesley Harding, 1967. So let's look at what Bob did over the previously. He put out the kind of triplicate of albums of Bringing It All Back Home, Highway 61, and Blonde on Blonde. All just incredible I guess, kind of rock albums or some whatever you want to call it. It was mind blowing, different from the folky stuff he was doing. He was really really pushing buttons there. It was great, great music. Then he goes away and he comes back with John Wesley Harding. Total acoustic album. Very kind of lots of room in it, lots of space. It's just Bob, acoustic guitar, and a bit of piano and bass drums. That's basically it. Great songs on here. All Along the Watchtower's on here. This is my second favorite Bob Dylan album. I guess we'll find out what my favorite is a little later. Okay, next. San Francisco. If anybody watches my videos, you know I'm a big fan of the San Francisco scene, the 60s. Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Cheap Thrills. What a great frickin' album this is. One of the best albums from the 60s as far as I'm concerned. Ball and Chains on this album. Janis was never better than when she was with Big Brother. Cheap Thrills. Now the interesting thing about Cheap Thrills is the band wanted to call the album Sex, Dope, and Cheap Thrills. And the record company said, no friggin' way, you're not doing it. But last year, or the year before, they released a kind of an alternate version of that album. Cheap Thrills, Sex, Dope, and Cheap Thrills, Big Brother and the Holding Company. I highly recommend, if you haven't heard this, to check it out. It's even better than the original. I love the alternate versions of the songs. There's some extended lead playing, just a bit more raw. Really good album. They're great companion pieces. You should have them both if you're a fan of that album. Okay, next, number 30. I don't know if this is going to shock a lot of people, but one of the most brilliant albums ever made. Frank Zappa, Hot Rats. Number 30 on my list. This was released in 1969. It's very jazz-influenced music. There's one, it's all instrumental except for one song. The second song's called Willie the Pimp with guest vocalist Captain Beefheart. That song is pretty good though. Like the guitar, Frank's guitar playing in Willie the Pimp is fantastic. So if you're the kind of person who's turned off by Zappa because of his, you know, risque humor or whatever, this is an album you need to hear. It's brilliant. It's just, if you like kind of proggy jazz, I'm going to call it, fantastic album. It's just had its 50th anniversary. This is the 50th anniversary reissue on pink vinyl. So yeah, Hot Rats, brilliant album. Frank was an incredible musician. Number 29, John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. What a brilliant album this was. Released in 1970. Raw, emotional. John was in the middle of this primal scream therapy with Dr. Janov, or however you pronounce his name, and trying to get rid of all the pain and he suffered as a kid with the loss of his mom and his dad abandoning him and all that kind of stuff, that stuff that you carry with you for your whole life. Anyway, this album just is amazing. The songs are incredible. Great album. Really, again, mostly sparse arrangements. Incredible record. Love this. Plastic Ono Band. Number 28. One of the best debut albums ever. 1967. How many great albums came out in 1967? What a year to be alive. Oh my God, I was 14 years old and hearing all this stuff from Hendrix and The Doors and Cream and Sgt. Pepper. I mean, The Doors' debut album, 1967. The long version of Light My Fire, Break On Through, Backdoor Man. What an album. Arguably one of the greatest debut albums of all time. Comes in at number 28. 2 more to go, folks. Number 27. We're going with the Stones again. They show up twice in this 15. Sticky Fingers. Just an incredible album from start to finish. Brown Sugar, great start. Mick Taylor did such a great job on this album. My favorite Rolling Stones song is on this album, and I don't know how many other people are going to agree with me, but Moonlight Mile. I freaking just love that song. Mick Jagger's vocal performance in that song is incredible. This is an SHM SACD from Japan. It is the best sounding Sticky Fingers I've ever heard, whether it be vinyl, regular SACD, regular CD, I don't care, MoFi, I don't care what. I challenge anybody to tell me Sticky Fingers has ever sounded better than it sounds on this SHM SACD. Fantastic. Great album. Number 27. Number 26, last album for today. Bob shows up again too. Highway 61. This is, I mean, it could be the grandfather of, or the father of, I guess it's kind of, they're co-parents. Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds and Highway 61 by Dylan kind of broke everything out in the folk rock scene, as far as I'm concerned. Like a Rolling Stone on this album. How does it feel to be on your own? 6 minutes and some seconds long as a single on the radio. No one ever heard anything like that. Al Cooper's incredible organ part in that song. Tombstone Blues, It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. Ballad of a Thin Man's on this album. And it ends with my second favorite Dylan song, Desolation Row. Highway 61. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope everyone has a happy Sunday. I want to give another shout out to my nephew, JT Media. Please subscribe to his channel. He's looking for subscribers. Young guy, 16, 17 years old, just getting started out. So please give him a shout out on his channel and a comment. And thank you very much. We'll see you next time.